Hi, and thank you for inviting me. I know it's not like a formal lecture. It's going. I'm just going to share with you how the connect Cecchetti was brought here in the Philippines, and how we are trying to spread it and expand, because I believe it's still in the very baby nursery stage, compared to the US or in Canada or in Australia or in any other part of the world. So let me just share my screen. Um, can you see this? Yeah, you can see it, right? Yes? Good. Okay, good. All right. So where I'm just going to introduce how through research how I found out like some not necessarily may not be Cecchetti links, but Italian training in the Philippines. Um at the beginning, ballet was not really natural. It was brought here in the country around 1800s, late 1800s, or um, usually when the foreigners came to the Philippines, Europeans came to teach mostly European dances. And there's one Italian master. I'm not sure if you know or his name is familiar, but on record, his name is Maestro Appiani. So he's from Italy, and according to one of my professors, that his company, called Campagna Infantil de Baile, performed European dances, and most probably could be considered as ballet, according to from research. So this is one of the theaters before. There are so many theaters in Manila at that time, more than now. I believe that a lot of the people enjoyed dancing, singing, and all of the acting. So many were encouraged to study the art. Then, of course, like other countries, Anna Pavlova also visited the Philippines in 1922. So she had a Philippine tour, and as we know, Pavlova was a student of Enrico Cecchetti. And since her tour, or from her tour, many, of course, were mesmerized and, fell in love with the beauty of ballet. One of her students was Luva Adamite. She's Russian and decided to come back to the Philippines in 1927. And then she started her own uh, dancing school, entitled Cosmopolitan Ballet and Dancing School. From her school, she has produced, these are the three most famous ones because they became awarded choreographers and performers. This Leonora Rosa Gokinko became the national artist in dance, the second national artist in dance in the country. But the others are also as great because they have won numerous awards as well for their choreography and in teaching. So from Adamite, there were so many ballet schools, but and also folk dance schools, teachers that they have produced. Now on the other side, we have another foreign teacher who migrated to the Philippines when she was young. She was born in New Zealand. Her name is Anita Kane. Anita Kane studied with Katerina Makarova, and Katerina Makarova, as a Russian who actually stayed in the Philippines and opened her own school. I have no records of where exactly her school was. It's so difficult to find, but Anita Kane was one of her students, and Anita Kane opened Pamana Ballet. studio of the classic dance. Now, from here, this is where I feel my roots are coming from, because this beautiful young lady here was my teacher. Her name's Felicita Radich. Um, she's now at home, just resting, but I studied with her, and she studied under Anita Kane and also Ricardo Casel. Ricardo Casel taught at Anita Kane's school when he and his wife came to the Philippines in the 1950s. And here I found out that Ricardo Casel was trained under Vicencio Celli, who Cecchetti trained. So there's my link to Cecchetti. So my teacher here also Felicitas Rodaicho, and I told her, because she taught me RAD, that she came from she studied in London. I'm not really sure the exact name of her school, but she's really good friends with the late Dame Margot Fontaine. So I'm not sure which school she went to. But then she told me during my interview with my teacher that she studied the entire Cecchetti training while she was in London. Although she could not bring the Cecchetti training here in the Philippines because at that time there were no grades. It was just like the old elementary, and then up to, I don't know, I think it's elementary, intermediate, advanced. That's what she took, but she could not bring it home for training for children because there were no grades at that time. So it was um Dame Margot Fontaine who told her to bring the RAD back home. So she was the one who brought the Royal Academy of Dance here in the Philippines. And so we were all trained the RAD under her. But she told me, and then when I told her that I took Cecchetti and I'm bringing Cecchetti here, and actually she's the one, because when I came home after graduating from Canada, she called me and I explained to her, like, I took the RAD, I took the Cecchetti, and she was the one who told me, I don't know if this is okay. Don't do the RAD, do the Cecchetti. You have to teach the Cecchetti in the Philippines because everyone else is teaching RAD. That's what she told me. So that's what retained in my brain. So because she loved Cecchetti and she could not bring it here because there were no grades. So that's what I tried to follow. Of course, as like a obedient student. So um although Mrs. Radikes, because she also through the years she's been teaching the RAD, she has created her own syllabus, and it's called the Philippine National Ballet Syllabus. And when we studied it, it's a lot of the training or a lot of the work is Cecchetti inspired. So through that, I think it's a little bit spreading out, like because of her work as well. Like some of the exercises are actually going through different, because her syllabus or her book um is not as expensive when you do the exams compared to RAD or compared to doing Cecchetti or other syllabi. So her idea was to spread ballet wider in the Philippines, so it becomes more affordable. Um, so that's her project. Okay, so after that, so there was no formal Cecchetti training. Well, so when I studied in Canada, so this was my old school, because now it's not this anymore. Like they don't use, I think they use this for something else. This area. The first teacher I had was Miss Shona Bell. I think Miss Tetro knows Miss Bell. She was my intermediate teacher. Um, at that time, I think she was like a licentiate, and now I know she's a fellow. And then also the late Glenn Gilmer was my teacher as well, and my mentor. So he trained me for my associate um before I took the exam. But Miss Break, I don't have a picture of Miss Rosalie Break because I couldn't find her picture anywhere. Was my advanced one and associate um teacher as well at the school. And my examiners were Sheila Kennedy and Miss Tetro and Miss Susan Plant. So these were like my so I learned a lot from the exams. I learned a lot from training, and that one I try to keep so that I could share it when I get back. Next is, of course, when I came back here, I could not be a Cecchetti Society Canada anymore. I was told that I have to change my association to towards Cecchetti Australia because it's not part of the scope where they examine. So with that, Miss Kennedy introduced me to Miss Carol Hall. And Miss Carol Hall was the I think the chairman at that time of Cecchetti Australia. So with that, she asked me to go to Australia several times. So I relearn the entire grades because it's different from Canada. So I had to relearn all of them, go back and forth to Australia. And then from there, we had several examiners here. So we have Miss Hall, Miss Ross, Miss Clack. Mr. Willoughby was my mentor as well for history when I did my licentiate. And Miss Moran, these were like my teachers where I get privates with them. So to gain more knowledge about the Cecchetti work. And then, of course, then I saw the National Ballet Institute and Cecchetti Institute, which is great because it's like you can reach to them. It's online, and you don't have to. I don't have to travel to Australia, or I can just do everything online. And Miss Pamela Moore and Miss Cara Dower, they're all great, helping me, and Miss Moore helped me finish my advance too. It was for if I didn't do any of those classes, I wouldn't have finished the advanced two at all because there's no way for me to travel back and forth to Australia just to do to study the work. And now we're doing hopefully my diploma. So these are my teachers. Um, so sharing just what happens like in Australia, just want to share that they this part of their scope would be New Zealand, Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, Malaysia, and Thailand. Yeah, I it's great because I've met most of these teachers. There's a lot of them. But Barbara and I were talking about like someone in Japan. I know there's someone in Japan because I see her on Instagram, but she's not, I don't know, she hasn't been part of the Cecchetti Australia group. So I'm not sure how that works though. So just sharing with you here our very
Desiree,
yes.
she is part of the ISTD Cecchetti and actually studies with Carl.
Yes, that's what I thought. Like maybe she's part of the ISTD. So I didn't know that that was like possible, Miss Moore, because when I was asking like if the ISTD could come here to the Philippines, they said flat out no. They couldn't come to Manila. So that's why
They do have a relationship in Japan.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just say that you're not really the Philippines, you're Japanese.
Okay.
They might not know the difference. I don't know.
Right. So just here, just sharing with you like the first Philippine examination tour and workshop. So when the first examination happened, these are here is the picture of like the entire group. It's just a small group of children where we entered from pre-primary up to intermediate at that time. And Miss Carol Hall was the examiner. Of course, she had to make sure that, you know, the first tour is good because she's the chairman. And then she also, I asked her to do a workshop for some of the teachers. These were like the teachers who came, some of the Filipino teachers around here, different from different syllabi. So because they're all interested in Cecchetti work. And these are like my students from the university. I asked them to come so that they could learn the work as well for the Cecchetti. Um, After that, so Miss Hall taught us the grades like from pre-primary up to grade 6. Of course, so fast though. Um, and we had like discussions about the style, the work, and I love this picture because these from the first workshop, these girls became associates. Like we were able to produce like, you know, the love for Cecchetti. Like they turned out to be associates. Even this person here that I could not see, Yvonne, she's her back is turned. So this is Nicola, this is Veronica and Julia. They're all associates now. um so these more photos of the workshop. The second tour took a longer time. It was hard because it was hard to gather a lot of people to hold a tour because it's costly. It's the only school in the country who has to bring in an examiner. So in the second tour, it was 2014, and we had Miss Clack, who's also a fellow examiner and diploma holder. And as you see, there's also a few number of students still doing the exam. So again, but this time we had up to advanced 1. So I was able to enter up to advanced 1 here. So from pre-primary up to A1. Um, and then and Yvonne here, this I love this picture because it looks like it's after her taking the associate exam. She was really exhausted. She didn't expect she did not expect that it's gonna be that hard for an exam. She was just like so tired. And then Miss Clack gave us an advanced 1 workshop for boys. It's actually to prepare me for my associate diploma because at that time you have to do the boys' work for the associate diploma. Then the third Cecchetti tour was with Miss Heel. Um, and we had Nicola take her associate as well. So now I had 2 people taking the associate. So it's slowly like growing in terms of the teachers as well. Um then the fourth tour, here we have Miss Ross, Robin Ross. Now we have a boy taking the exam. um I think here you will see this one has more because now I have more associates. So like one of them is right here watching, Miss Beng. That's her. So if Beng, can you show yourself? Are you there? You, oh, you show your there. There's teacher Beng. That's her. She took her associate exam with Miss Ross. So I had like 1, 2, 3, 4 associates. And then the like Yvonne entered 2 of her students. So it's slowly growing. And then after that, which Miss Butler, who is now our chairman in Cecchetti, Australia, we had more students because Teacher Bang really is doing her job really well, entering, training so many Cecchetti students in her province, in where she is at. So she has more, she has students who are training for the exams. Um, so we have here more. How can I cannot move this one? Okay. Oops, sorry. Just could not get. Oops. Where is that? There. Could that move this? Okay, there. So here are her students, the Teacher Bang students. So she entered a lot of kids as well. From I think this is from pre-primary up to uh grade 3 or 4. I think something like that. Yeah. Um. Yeah. And we have advanced one candidates, intermediate candidates, and some of them also auditioned for the LSMA, which is the Lucy Saranova Memorial Awards. So some of them were chosen to participate at the Australia Ballet competition. And these were some of Yvonne's students. So from these associate, they have entered, already started to enter their own students in the society. And then 2019, before the pandemic, we had Miss Clack again as an examiner. And at that time, we have Nicola do her associate diploma part 1. These are all Teacher Bang students. So beautiful here. And then Miss Clack gave us an advanced 2 workshop for female. And so these are all the teachers that attended. Um, so this is how we try to spread some of the Cecchetti work. So it's not only coming from me. Like I always ask the examiner to come in and teach it. Like so it's coming from the source. Because sometimes you really learn a lot more that way than coming just from one person. And then online, because we did not have any examiners after the pandemic or during the pandemic, we had Miss Diane Pokorny. These are my now associates. They took their intermediate because that's the requirement for the associate. So they took their intermediate exam with Miss Pokorny, and I took my advanced 2 exam with Miss Pokorny as well online. Then this is the last tour that we had so far, 2023, with Miss Ross. So if you notice, they have come here twice already. I'm not sure why though. I think it's like also they choose examiners who are a diploma holder or like a high level examiner, because I have students entering up to associate diploma, and I don't think not everyone, not all the examiners can, I think can do that to hold the exams if they have not reached like up to their diploma, I believe. So here we have intermediate students. This girl here is Teacher Bang's student as well. So and this is Teacher Bang's daughter. So we make sure that they all do the Cecchetti work as well. And these are our associates, and now they've done their advanced one. Um, these are like pre-primaries. These are the grades and Teacher Bank's grades. Um, and the Associate Diploma Part 1 candidates. So because the curriculum has changed, some of my past associates need to redo Associate Diploma Part 1, just like Teacher Bang. And we're so proud because, right, Teacher Bang, she perfected her exam. So she got 100 out of 100. So we're so proud of that one. So we have here Julia, Gianna, Justine, Veronica, and Nicola. She completed her part 2. So she now is a full associate diploma holder. After that, we had lots of workshops with Miss Ross. So we asked her to give us some lecture on or a workshop of for the associate diploma part 2 to help our associates prepare for their next exam, like this coming exam in September. So Miss Ross gave us like that workshop as well as a 2-day Enrico Cecchetti Diploma Part A workshop. So where a lot of the candidates and other students from different schools as well attended for this workshop. And it's the very first time that they've seen the Enrico Cecchetti diploma work here in the Philippines. It's a very first time. Um, So we did that. And then just wanted to share with you, like so far, we have entered, the Philippines have entered twice already for the Lucy Seranova Memorial Awards in Australia. So this one is Nicole. This was in 2016. And the competition was in Perth, Australia. So like the photos. I think you know Simon Dow. I'm not sure he's a big Cecchetti person in Australia. This is Margaret Illman, also another big Cecchetti person. They were like the judges at that time um for this competition. And the next candidate we had was Nina. And she did for the silver. The other one was for the gold, and it was in Melbourne. This was in 2018, just before the pandemic. And these are Mr. Willoughby, yeah, Miss Clack, Heel, Miss Heel. These are the examiners we know, Miss Butler and Miss Carol Hall and Miss Robin Ross. Just a beautiful experience for the girls to, you know, to see what other students are doing in different countries, like or just in Australia. And here was like our very first Cecchetti Ballet Festival in the Philippines, where the students from different Cecchetti schools, we created their first recital, which was the Sleeping Beauty. So we had like 60 students coming in, working together from different parts of the country. Because this girl is from Bicol, and then these students are from Bulacan, all different parts, and some from Manila, to work together to create one ballet. So how we spread the work? For me, what I do, or like the Chicari Ballet Center Philippines, is to promote the teacher training program, because this is the only way that we can really spread the work of Cecchetti. Is to develop a lot of teachers, how they understand how to teach ballet, how to um teach the work of Cecchetti, or train using the syllabus. So we've been doing the teacher training since way back 2014 or 2013. And many people are interested in learning. These are like the teachers from the past workshop that attended a teacher training course. And now I just created this just to see where we're at. We're still small. We have the school, the main school here in the center, which is the National Capital Region. It's here. Teacher Beng's school is up north in Bulacan, so she needs to travel to get to my area, like around 2 hours to get to my place. Teacher Yvonne, the first associate, is here in Batangas, a little bit south, also around 2 hours to travel to get to our school. The farthest person that I have that has opened her school is Justine. She lives really far south. She travels by bus like 12 hours. just to travel to get to the studio to learn. Like she does this every week just to study the Cecchetti work. Yeah. But aside from that, these are like all the Cecchetti associates that we have, the school has produced. They do teach in different areas already. Gianna is a professional dancer, so she teaches occasionally, but she is completing her advanced too. Same with Julia. Um, Veronica also is going to complete her advanced too. The others are going through doing advanced one. But yeah, so far these are the associates that I have helping me spread the Chickadee work in the country. And that ends my presentation. So thank you. Unless you have any other questions, I'm here and Teacher Beng's here. We can discuss any questions happening here.